Hi, this is Chef Dave Bishop, the chef to you. Welcome to my kitchen. I've had a lot of my customers asking me about recipes that they can make very quickly when they come home. Something that has a lot of flavor. Maybe can you put it in the freezer, pull it out, come home, heat it up, and be ready to go with the busy schedules. I'm going to show you a dish right now that you're really going to enjoy. It's called a Twice Baked Meatball. The whole family is going to like this one. You can make the meatballs ahead of time, freeze them, and then we put them in the pan, make a nice sauce, put it on top, bake it. The sauce gets down into those meatballs, put over rice, put over pasta, put over mashed potatoes. Awesome dish. Let's go ahead and take a look at our ingredients. Here's our already cooked meatballs, once cooked. We're going to bake them a little bit with the sauce. This makes about 12, 2 per serving, 6 people, hungry people, 4 servings, 3 apiece. I have 1.5 pounds of ground beef here. This is ground chuck. You could also go with 1 pound of ground chuck, ½ pound of ground pork, or even ground turkey. Our seasonings over here, we got 1 teaspoon of salt, ½ teaspoon each of cinnamon, ground red pepper, and black pepper, a ½ cup of milk, 1 cup of Italian herb breadcrumbs, a ¼ cup of finely shredded Romano cheese, ¼ cup of onions, 2 cloves of garlic mashed, minced, 1 egg, and that's what's going to go in our meatballs. We're going to take this and just dump it in. Rule of thumb when we're making our meatball, meatloaf, salmon patties, whatever, you want to put all your ingredients in the bowl and mix them one time, and don't add an ingredient mixer. You're going to make it too tough. The meat mixed up, you want to make sure you mix it really well so you don't see any ingredient sitting in one spot of the meat. Now, not too long to make it too tough. Now we'll take a scoop. You can do it by hand if you don't have a scoop. And we're going to scoop 12 even scoops. I'm going to round this scoop right here, about that size right there. And we're going to take them, we're going to roll them into a round ball, place in this casserole dish. We got our meatballs finished, 12 of them, a uniform size, fit this pan perfectly. We're going to bake these for 25 minutes at 400 degrees. And then we'll go ahead and start on the sauce. Let's start preparing our sauce. What I have here is 3 tablespoons of butter in the pot, just melted, ½ cup of fine diced onions, ¼ cup of fine diced sweet peppers. Now I'm not a big fan of green peppers being in my sauce, but I don't mind the sweet, gives a great flavor to it. We're going to saute these for 2 or 3 minutes, and we add our garlic. We want a nice brown tip on these. We want them a little bit past the translucent state. Starting to get a little bit of brown tips on our onions and our peppers. Let's add a garlic. I don't like to add the garlic too early because I don't want it to burn. I want to have that good flavor and freshness. I don't overly mash it either because I want that nice little crunch of the garlic in the sauce too. Let's take a look at our herbs real quick here. I got 1 tablespoon of basil, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. That's going to give a little sweetness to our sauce. ½ teaspoon of black pepper, ¼ teaspoon of oregano. We're going to add this now in here. Let that cook in really well with our peppers, onions, and our garlic. Now this is not going to be a typical Italian flavor, kind of a mixture between a Creole and an Italian flavored spaghetti sauce. Remember, when you're making a sauce, you always want to taste it at the end. If you want a little more sugar, a little bit more garlic, you can add a little bit at the end. Even though a recipe gives you specific ingredients, you still want to make that final taste at the end. Our next ingredient is 1/2 cup of beef stock. If you don't have a beef stock, chicken stock will work fine, or if you want to just use water, you can. All right, we're going to add this and kind of deglaze the pan. Stir this around, get any of the onions and peppers that kind of stuck to the bottom of the pan. We'll bring this to a boil, and then we'll add our crushed tomatoes that have a tomato puree in with them. My last ingredients, I got crushed tomatoes. These crushed tomatoes have a little bit of tomato puree, so it's going to have a little bit of body with it. It won't be just tomatoes and water. Sauce looks good. Let's go ahead and put a lid on it and turn it down to low. Let it simmer for about a ½ hour. Our meatballs are finished. Let's go ahead and take them and put them on this paper towel. The meatballs I'm putting on the paper towel right now, these are the ones that are going to go in the refrigerator or the freezer. This is the first bake. This is the first bake going to a second bake. So we're going to remove these onto the tray. I'm going to stop right here. Let's go over here to these meatballs. Now you want a casserole dish similar to this one or this one. You don't want the meatballs piled up on top of each other because you want the sauce to be all the way around them. This would be, this amount of sauce, this size pan would work great. This dish here, they're curved up a little bit, it's not too bad. So our next step we're going to do, we're going to take our sauce, pour it over top of our meatballs. Follow this pair of tongs here. We're going to cover it. Now we're going to bake this in the oven for 25 minutes, covered. If you have a dish like this casserole dish here, just wrap it with foil, and that sauce will get down to those meatballs and have a great flavor. These meatballs over here, that's the first bake. We want to leave them on a paper towel about 10 minutes, put them in the refrigerator till they're good and cold. Then you put them in Ziplocs and freeze them or portion them. No sauce on top of them. That's what the key, and that's where the flavor is built, and when you put that sauce on. It's just about supper time. The whole family's going to love this one. Let's go ahead and take 2 of our meatballs, put it on this rice. That big old giant meatball, doesn't that look delicious? Let's take some extra sauce. Of course at home you might just use a spoon. I just want to do some presentation. Put some extra sauce on here. Are you hungry yet? Let's put a little bit of mozzarella cheese on top of this. A little bit of parsley flakes. Can't get any better than that, folks. We got one more to do though. Here I got some sauteed garlic angel hair pasta. Now this is not a spaghetti and meatball video, okay? This is not a spaghetti and meatball video, even though I've got spaghetti and meatballs on it. I'll be doing that video eventually. A little bit of mozzarella cheese on there. I know you're drooling now. Let's just bam this plate real good with it. Before we leave today, I have a lot of my customers say, "Chef, your food looks great, but I'd love to see what it looks like on the inside." So what we're going to do today, we're going to take this, I'm going to cut this meatball. See how moist that is? Done well on the inside. You cut it up. When it comes to eating, you just sop it up in some of that sauce, and away it goes. This is Chef Dave Bishop, cooking and teaching. Till next time, may God bless.